Hello and welcome back to the Concession Stand podcast. I am your one host. My name is Carter, also known as Chicken Tendy Gaming. I'm with my other host, Jonah, also known as Fragangamang.
Hello.
Remember that one TikTok of mine? Playing with the Fragangamang. And today, there's a lot of news.
Text to speech.
Silly text to speech. Today, there's a lot to talk about. Now, ignore my big time rush in the background. I know Jonah can't see it because my camera is on here, but he'll see it. He'll see it after. We have a couple things to talk about. We got MLB free agency going on. We got some news around just MLB in general. Mm-hmm. We got some. We got a trade that I see no sense in, and we got to talk the World Cup. And I think we should just start out with the obvious.
Let's start with the MLB one first.
MLB one?
More recent.
Okay. We can start with the MLB one. So,
most of the news around it's been like more recent.
Yeah. So free agency's been happening around the MLB as the season ended with the Astros winning the World Series. Good for them. Whoop-de-doo. One of the biggest names right now in baseball, Aaron Judge, the fleece of the century. What was his name? John Heyman?
John Heyman, yeah.
John Heyman.
I use the MLB network.
John Heyman.
I might be a TV personality too. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up.
This guy announces, the Giants sign Aaron Judge, and yet the next day.
Okay, so he's I was just looking it up. So he's like a insider for MLB Network and a columnist for the New York Post. Yeah, and of course it wasn't just like Aaron Judge. He said, "Oh, it was Arson Judge." He like misspelled.
Oh, yeah, because MLB analyst doesn't know how to type.
Yankees. He deleted it pretty quickly though.
Then day 2 comes around and the Yankees signed Aaron Judge 9-year, $360 million. It actually turned out that San Diego offered him 10 years, like $400 million
plus.
Yeah,
so like they offered him way more money, but he just stuck with the team he was with.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, on one hand, that makes you wonder. Like, I guess I know John even said, "Oh, the Giants were closing on him," but that sounds like they never really were interested in landing him in the first place.
Oh, it was.
I think their eyes were always on someone else who we'll get to very soon.
Yeah. Another thing that happened a while ago. It wasn't really that big. Kind of made sense. Jacob deGrom signs a 5-year, $185 million with the Rangers. Good for him. He's going back to his hometown.
Sense, although there's like concerns, he's
Verlander,
like 34 and also is injury prone.
Verlander, 2 years, $86 million with the Mets. This is all off MLB on Fox's Instagram page. Trey Turner signed with Philadelphia. I don't know how much. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how much. Whatever it is. Oh, wait. 11-year, $300 million deal. Cody Bellinger signed a 1-year, $17.5 million deal with the Cubs. I'm kind of just going off the big names I'm trying to see. Kenley Jansen signed a 2-year, $32 million deal with the Red Sox. I don't know if that's really big. Brandon Nimmo. I was looking at the Jays were looking at him. Signed 8-year, $162 million with the Mets.
A lot of money, but I mean, I guess technically the Jays got the outfielder they were wanting.
Jays got the outfielder.
Well, they got 2. We'll get to that.
They got 2. Actually, we can get with one of them right now. Blue Jays signed Kevin Kiermaier for, I think it was a year or something like that. $9 million, $10 million, I don't remember. Some obscure number.
It was like only a year or something, I think.
As well as that, the Jays signed right-handed pitcher Chris Bassett for a 3-year. I swiped away from it. $63 million deal. That's kind of a steal. Bassett wasn't horrible.
I mean, I guess also like he was gonna go somewhere else because like the Mets had already had signed like Verlander, of course, and having like Max Scherzer and all these other guys on the team. Like I don't think Chris Bassett really had a place on the roster anymore.
Not at all. This gets me every time I gotta say it. Joey Gallo signs with the Twins. Now we talk about when you think of overpaid players, you really think of just like the high top athletes in sports. Like they really need to make that much money. And you hear Joey Gallo, Mr. Swing and miss himself. I know I'm a YouTuber, but I can still make fun of him. 1 year, $11 million. The most expensive bench player of all time.
I mean, like, wasn't he like the free true outcome hitter? Like, he only every at bat he'll either walk or hit a home run or
3 options: strikeout,
strike out,
walk, or hit
walk, or home
tank.
run. But since he went to New York, it's just the strikeout thing. He doesn't walk anymore.
He even has the
doesn't really...
cheat too. He has the cheat, and he still can't use it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't walk anymore. He doesn't hit home runs anymore. He just strikes out. That's all he does since he joined New York. Since he left the Rangers for New York, that's just all that's happened.
Going back to New York, not going back to New York, but turning to New York, Padres signed Matt Carpenter, who was a Yankee. Good for him. The Mets, 12-year, $315 million deal, sign Carlos Correa after his physical gets rejected after signing initially with the Giants.
So like, I'm trying to comprehend this. So
he did not want to play there.
Their physical, they just rejected it and like didn't sign it. But I'm confused. Like, did they just reject it because it was really bad and maybe it would like adversely affect the rest of his career, or did they just get like, I don't know, is this really the guy we want?
Probably.
That's why I said the Giants fans were bamboozled into thinking
but hey, it's okay.
They're gonna get a star player.
The Giants signed Michael Conforto for a 2-year, $36 million deal. I mean, they got someone. The Jays should have got him, but he got someone.
But he's kind of no Aaron Judge. He's kind of yeah.
I mean, and that's kind of all the big name trades. You're willing to, if you want, talk in the comments below about what you think, or trade signings. Talk about which signing you like, which signing you don't like. No, as a Jays fan, I don't like the Yankees.
Actually, I'm looking up. I don't even think Michael Conforto even played at all last year. I think he was injured.
Yeah, I remember just the Jays. I remember seeing something that the Jays were looking at.
No stats for 2022, but I guess he's fine for them. But like, he's certainly nowhere in Judge.
No, we'll get onto this trade real quick. I think we deserve to get on.
And also signed with the Yankees. That's another one.
Right. So the Yankees.
Looking at
it's like Yankees and Mets are like the most stacked team, and they just get eliminated in like the second round.
It was usually always the Yankees, but like the Mets got that new Wall Street owner that's worth like $15 billion, and his whole thing has spend all the money, but to the point where I think their payroll plus luxury tax is like close to $500 billion for next year.
Let's go Mets, baby. Let's go Mets. Home run Mets. We love the Mets. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets, baby.
Record by far.
Mets are my second favorite team. Now we're gonna get to
and then there's stuff like where all the you've seen stuff where all these other owners are like whining about, oh, it's unfair that this one guy comes in and can start spending all his money. Well, my problem is that
make more money.
Billionaire owners that like they don't spend money. Period. Like, you know,
here's an idea. Make more money.
Or the Cincinnati Reds owner, they don't spend money. You know, they're billionaires.
Make more money.
They just choose not to, and I mean, I don't even know. Actually, that makes me wonder how much is. I don't even know if it's worth much. I'm just wondering because I thought at least the Blue Jays should have one of the richest owners.
You would think. Just considering their owners are Rogers.
Yeah. Although honestly, to be fair, I don't know if I should expect them.
Oh no, with their service, Rogers is horrible. Unless Rogers sponsors this podcast.
Actually, to be fair, that was the complaint you could make a couple of years ago that they were incredibly cheap and they were spending money. I don't think you can make that complaint anymore because they're certainly spending a lot of money. I think the Blue Jays now have like the 5th highest payroll in all of the league.
Yeah.
When they would never like even break top 10.
And they still can't sign big names.
Money. So spending money is not necessarily like a criticism you can. I mean, what I will criticize is that they've got all this money, but not really related to baseball. But Rogers obviously cannot get their wireless systems working from time to time.
So Rogers' internet is
back in July. You know, the nationwide outage in Canada.
Rogers' internet is horrible. Okay. Moving on. We're gonna go to a trade, which makes zero sense to me. Blue Jays acquired Dalton Varsho.
Makes no sense to me, but
makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Blue Jays acquired Dalton Varsho from the Arizona Diamondbacks for, I want to make this clear, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and prospect Gabriel Moreno. So not only are you getting, a prospect catcher who is really good. It was the number 1 overall prospect?
He might have been
Something like that.
He was, if he was not number 1,
He was high. He was top 5.
Or he was 7 on
top 10.
So he was top 10. That's still like
top 10 prospect. That's insane.
Something. Yeah.
And Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who literally can play anywhere. Literally put him in the bleachers, he still can catch a home run. Like, for a catcher outfielder. Nothing else along with it. You would think top 7 prospect. You think you would get maybe a couple bullpen arms with it, maybe a starter, maybe a couple minor leaguers. No, you just get you literally just get one guy who cannot solve. He might be a lefty batter. Is he a lefty batter? Yes.
He's a lefty batter.
So you get a lefty batter, but you don't get maybe a bullpen arm, which you might need. You don't get anyone a little better than that.
They did get some bullpen arms with the Teoscar Hernandez trade. They did get like 2 bullpen arms, I think, with that.
So you trade a catcher and an outfielder for a catcher/outfielder.
I'll be honest, I don't even remember their names because I have not really paid much attention.
They're going to be in the minors.
Any of this?
They're going to be in the minors. Bullpen arms go in and out. There's no big names on the. The Jays lost Ross Stripling. Like they lost Chicken Strip. What is going to happen? Like Ross,
I guess they got
fire him
to replace that role.
But Ross fired.
I mean, actually, I don't know if they can. I think they might have extended his contract, so they kind of can't.
Mets are my new favorite baseball team. Let's go Mets.
I mean, to be honest, like it kind of was like the whole choke was like so horrific, but I think that felt like someone had to take the fall for that. But I guess they decided to just
I'm blaming Ross.
Yeah, they extended it. He's under contract till 2026, so they'd have to. Have the severance package if they fired him. If
the Jays don't make a playoff series until 2026, they have 3 years. That contract extension was worth nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't win a playoff series, getting the playoffs is something. But if you don't win a playoff series, with all these deals you're making that makes no sense, if these turn out and like Dalton Varsho comes out and just rakes,
he might. I mean, I think looking at his stats, like, he's clearly not. He's. I think what he is like a power hitter, not really.
Oh God.
He doesn't get high averages, but he does hit a lot of home runs.
Like the signing. Hold on.
But I think from what I've heard, he is actually really good defensively, both as a catcher and as an outfielder. And I'm assuming they will be playing him in outfield though, because like we've already got like 2 catchers. And here's the thing, what I will say is that like on one hand I actually do understand this trade, but on the other hand it just feels like they give up way too much. And look, in the case of the catcher role, obviously one of those 3 was going to be gone because there's no way you can really have all 3 of them on the same team at once.
And I mean Moreno
was
the one to make sense. Moreno was the one to make sense, right? He's the young one
that had like the least experience, and he would presumably have the most value because he would.
But you would think you're trying to stretch the value.
He was excess goods. He didn't really have a place on the Blue Jays anymore with like Alejandro Kirk and Danny Jansen.
Those guys are insane. You can't
ahead of him. He was never really going to find a way. I'll be honest. He was never going to find a way to break on that team. No. Really.
At least here he can.
Was probably going to be traded at some point.
But at the same time, like you're giving away, like if you're giving Moreno for Varsho, sure. The fact that you have to toss in,
I think it's more because like Varsho is more established, and of course like Moreno, he could turn out to be a total bust and not mean anything, or he could turn out to be the best thing ever. I don't know.
But you get rid of another outfielder. You guys need the outfielders. You lost Tapia.
I mean, technically, I think. I mean, I assume they intend to play Varsho as.
They better. If they play him as a catcher, game over.
Now, there's no point because they've already got Kirk and Jansen. They have to be like. I think that's what they're gonna roll with. It's like
that's their one.
Varsho, Springer, and Kiermaier. That's what it looks like I'm gonna do.
Well, my dad told me he's like.
I guess Varsho in left field, Springer in right, and Kiermaier in center. Yeah. I have to guess that's like that makes sense. And that makes sense, and that does make the defense, which was not spectacular in any means,
Not the best defense in baseball. It wasn't
but
the
it does make it
worst. There's the Pirates.
better.
You ever
And
see,
I mean,
you ever see the Pirates versus the Cubs?
mhm.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay, moving away from my hate.
There's times the defense looked really ugly last year.
Oh my god! Don't give me game 2.
Yeah.
Don't give me reminded of game 2. That was stupid.
So, I think like more defensive help is needed. And looking at the stats between Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Dalton Varsho, actually, if anything, the stats are similar. Fairly, some of the stats are actually quite similar. If not, in some instances, you could actually say that Dalton Varsho might even be better than Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Or at least they're even at least.
Let's hope that happens, because I want him. If
and I guess the main difference is that he's like a badly needed lefty bat, which again killed them.
Because here's the thing, I want to be wrong. I want
like you could just
Adkins to prove
again the fact
wrong.
that the whole team was like completely full of just guys who can only hit right-handed, like that killed them.
That
was a huge problem that they had, and I guess technically Kiermaier can also like. He's also a lefty hitter too, but they're not getting him for the hitting. Whereas you get him because he's like, was a lot better defensively.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna
like one of the best defensive center fielders. When he's not injured, because he isn't very injury prone, and I think he did miss like well over half of last season.
Yeah. Some guys are just injury prone. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to some big news, which should have really never been news in the first place. Trevor Bauer, his suspension from 300 and something games, maybe 65 games, 60 like a year's worth of games, 2 years worth of baseball games, was reduced down to 194, which was the amount he served already.
So that I believe means that I guess he can.
That means he's back and playing baseball again.
Is he even on a team still, or did the Dodgers cut him? I don't even know.
There was rumors that the Dodgers were going to cut him. Now there was
or is he still on the roster?
This is from MLB Updates 365 on Instagram. This is what they wrote. Los Angeles Dodgers starting pitcher Trevor Bauer's suspension has been reduced from 324 games, my apologies, to 194 games. Bauer appealed the suspension 7 months ago, and a conclusion finally has been made. Bauer hasn't pitched since June 2021 and missed all of 2022. But with the reduction of suspensions, he will be back in the next year. Here's the issue.
Is that it for this, or is there like more? Like he's not exactly
because comes back.
Sure.
He comes back. Well, the whole story. I think we've talked about Trevor Bauer on this podcast before, right? We definitely have. Go check out the earlier.
Well, I mean, I guess
podcasts.
It looks like they'll badly be needing him because I know didn't like Walker Buehler have like Tommy John surgery.
Yep.
So I think like they would need. I mean, the rotation was already, I think, like really stacked beforehand.
I think
without him, like
here's
last
the
year,
thing, though.
like they didn't even really necessarily need it. Although I think all of those guys are already like moved on elsewhere.
My entire Instagram homepage is just full of the Varsho trade. Here's the one thing though. With all his controversy, not only just with what's happened in the past year with the sexual assault case, not only what's happened, with that, but as well as his controversy on the field and off the field with his hatred towards the commissioner, Rob Manfred, which is understandable. Very, very understandable. What will the Dodgers keep? That's like, I guess the overheading question. Will the Dodgers keep him?
Okay. Well, there's my guess is probably, and that is that a lot of their top starting pitchers. Actually, I need to even look up who the hell is actually pitching for the Dodgers. on the rotation. I think Kershaw's still there, but he's like past his prime.
Yeah.
And not exactly the same player he was.
The plan was for the
He's
Dodgers to release him.
still
Which I don't know, because my first thought.
Actually, I'm not sure. I have to look it up. Was it actually confirmed? Like, they were
No, it
going
wasn't
to,
confirmed.
or was this like some rumors?
It's a rumor. Now, the one thing that I first thought of was, the Jays should get on him, because if he's still good, and he's been definitely practicing in the offseason. I've seen his YouTube channel. Should the Leafs sign him?
Mm-hmm.
Could they sign him? The only downside is all his controversy and the Toronto stuff back in 2016, and
also
and
I mean, to be honest, it would probably
and I mean, Toronto
wherever
fans,
you want to say, but it probably does not seem like a great look for someone to.
I mean, it'd be in Ross Atkins. It would make sense for Ross Atkins. He signed the.
I mean, they had Roberto Osuna for all, but I guess they did suspend him, and I mean that whole saga looked a lot worse on the Astros because they traded him even though he was facing inactive suspension for domestic violence.
Yeah,
in 2018.
A little interesting.
That whole saga kind of looked worse on the Astros than it did the Blue Jays, though.
But it's one of those things where, I mean, the Jays sign him.
I'm looking this up, and I'm coming across an article from the Wall Street Journal that does actually say that apparently that there's a confidentiality policy. My English is not very well today. That does prevent the team from knowing what, because the MLB has obviously had their own investigation into Trevor Bauer, of course, but the Dodgers actually don't have full access to the details of that investigation, nor the arbitrator's written opinion on the evidence that was presented in this case, so they don't actually really know. So
I mean, that's kind of stupid.
They'll have their own thing, but they have the decision, do they cut him or do they make him a starter, and that they don't really have the full information of what's going on here, because
that's kind of stupid when it comes to the team that they're on.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of
I can understand publicly
redact some names, do that, but for the
be the team, the executives or the general
they
manager
need to know before they make a decision
of whether or not this player should stick around or should be gone.
And no matter what, there's gonna be it's a lose-lose situation anyways. You keep a guy
and then get massive backlash,
get horrible backlash because he's some abuser or whatever that the media put him out to be, which turned out his case was actually he was not guilty of it, but you're still gonna have those people.
Doesn't mean he never actually did anything like that, but it's just
it was never proven for that case.
Yeah, it was never proven.
You have the guy who was proven innocent for this case, who you keep him and oh my god he's this guy and they're gonna look at it doesn't matter if he's good or not, and then if you get rid of him. Oh, we got rid of a really good pitcher just because he did one bad thing.
Well, also, and at the same time, I'm trying to look up what their pitcher situation is. I think they kind of need more starters because I know some of them,
the Dodgers, they can just throw money at people.
Tyler's just gone. They still have Julio Urias, they got Gonsolin, they got Kershaw, but Walker Buehler is out for the entire season.
They're the Dodgers,
okay?
Surgery. They're the Dodgers. They can throw gold bars at people and in and out coupons.
I mean, you're fine. If there's any team that could probably survive cutting him, it would be the Dodgers.
Just could make a trade.
They don't even need to make. They can make a trade. I mean, they could make a trade because then again, they do have the endless prospect pool, of course, that they can easily regenerate every time for the draft, or they have the better
they have a spawner
with
just
the
prospects
in Latin America that they can sign all these gems out of nowhere and then trade them and get the other team's star player. Max Scherzer in the past, Trey Turner in the past. There's so many examples.
You can
they
have the spawner.
They could easily find some new pitcher on some crap team that's willing to deal with them in exchange for high level prospects, and it doesn't even matter because they'll probably manage to find someone internationally that's very high rated and then sign them on as a prospect, and again process repeats itself over and over again. So I think they actually would be able to totally survive releasing him in that sense, just because they would probably be able to trade for someone.
I'm just imagining like there's just
and even then,
a spawner underneath Dodger Stadium with just prospects shooting out of it.
Or maybe those be some random prospect that actually does emerge and then actually becomes like really good anyway, so they don't even need to necessarily make a trade to solve that. Like this, like the Dodgers kind of get like they're great at team building. Of course, the one thing they're obviously not good at is winning World Series.
We don't talk about that
in non shortened seasons.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about it.
111 games won, and then they lost to the Padres in like the division series.
Baseball's interesting.
When it comes to at least assembling teams, no one really is like close. I mean, I guess the Mets and at times the Yankees, but then the Dodgers like probably have a better system, like assembling teams than like anyone else does. I think they've had a longer postseason streak than anyone else by like a considerable distance. Of course, just one World Series title in a short season, and the other 2 times they were in there, they lost.
Dodgers need to make a black uniform just because they look cool. Okay.
So my guess is they're probably going to release Trevor Bauer because obviously the controversies would be really big. I'm not sure what would happen. I'm not sure if they would like lose sponsors or something like that.
No,
I'm not sure because I don't think it would go that far because I know there've been instances like this in the past, but it didn't really result in much. But if it did, well then they could release him, but at the same time they'll probably just trade for someone to throw like their top prospects at some other team that's willing to trade away one of their top starting pitchers, and problem solved for them at least. So I'm convinced that he's probably a goner, and at that point, I don't know who would
the Jays pick him up. You need another starter. Get Kikuchi out of there.
I mean, sure, the Jays would be one, but like I don't really know.
Oh, you go back to Cleveland. Makes sense for Ohio.
There might be a lot of teams that like may not want to, like, because then that would become a big controversy. I don't know. What I can't think. What is it? Would there be a team that has like a history of signing people who are in these complicated, messy situations? I don't know. I can think of
Cleveland makes sense because Ohio.
I can think of examples in like other sports leagues, but.
Okay, I think we should go on to another sports league because Trevor Bauer is interesting enough as he is. Another sports league, the World Cup.
It's not really a league; it's just a competition.
No, it's now a league because I say so. Winners, the World Cup is Argentina.
We can start going through the rapid fire of kind of what's happened, at least.
Let's like really rapid fire it.
I'll do rapid fire in the knockout rounds, like since it started starting with the round of 16. First you had the Dutch against the United States. The Dutch won like 3-1. I mean, the United States hosting the World Cup, well, co-hosting it with Canada and Mexico in 4 years. So that'd be kind of interesting. Of course, Canada didn't even make it out of the group stage. They lost all 3 of their matches, but they scored 2 goals this time, which is better than the 0 goals they scored in 1986 when they were last in the tournament. So, hey, baby steps, improvement. It'll look better. Then you have Argentina versus Australia. Argentina, we're about to win comfortably. But then Australia, give them a run for money, but they just couldn't find the last second goal.
Like, do better.
France beat Poland 3-1. England beat Senegal 3-0. Then you have Japan versus Croatia. Now I think I had Croatia like they were the runners up at the last World Cup in 2018, and I kind of thought they could pull off some BS fairy tale run again, and they did it for the same style that they did last time, which was take the game all the way onto a shootout and then win it there.
Yeah,
and that's what happened against Japan. Next, you had Brazil versus South Korea. Brazil crushed South Korea. That shouldn't really be surprising at all. Then you had Morocco versus Spain, which Morocco won on a penalty shootout, and they hadn't been this far to the round of 16 since 1986. And other than that, they never really made it that.
Let's go Morocco.
For the group stage, but they beat Spain.
My pick
won
to
the
win.
World Cup. they won the World Cup only like 12 years ago, and then you had Portugal versus Switzerland to round out the round of 60 matches, and most notably, Cristiano Ronaldo was benched for Portugal in that game.
Like,
I mean, I think it was because like he wasn't having a good tournament to begin with, and when he was benched in the last group stage game, he kind of had like some kind of like bit about it, meltdown. So he got punished by being benched, and his substitute scored a hat trick.
I mean, imagine
in that
being,
game.
Imagine
So
being
yeah.
like Ronaldo's substitute, and you still do better than him. Like,
well, you gotta consider that Ronaldo is like 37 years old, and also
jeez,
he just got released from his club because he did this whole interview on like a British TV where he was like shit talking the club and like yeah, that got dropped off. It would basically been like if like Austin Matthews had gone on to like network TV here or like some newspaper and like was shit talking the Leafs management like crazy.
well,
actually no, that wouldn't be fair. That would have been more like some old star, more like an Alex Ovechkin doing that to Capitals. Probably that's more like that.
Okay.
And then you had the
round of 8.
Yeah, that's that quarterfinals. Yeah, so Croatia versus Brazil. Yeah, Brazil should have easily won. They were the favorites, but there was no goal scored in regulation, so off to extra time it went. Neymar, the die master himself, had scored in the 105th minute, but then Croatia managed to pull yet another goal of their ass in the 117th minute to force shootout, which they won again. Croatia. So that's like the 4th or 5th shootout they've won in like the last couple tournaments. But that's their method of advancing through, and yet they're packing the semifinals. Brazil,
the long game. They play the long game. That's all it is. They tire out the other team enough.
The Dutch versus Argentina. Honestly, up until the final, this game was probably the match of the tournament, just because of it kind of had everything. It was going to be like an easy Argentina victory. They were up 2-0, but then the Dutch scored twice, including a goal. I shit you not, literally with the last kick of the game on a free kick.
Actually,
also there was like 18 yellow cards in the match, which was apparently
18?
which was apparently like a record in the World Cup. The referee was like really shit. It was really garbage at his job.
They really need better referee. They really need a better place to do it. FIFA
and
needs
also
to
there
be
was
like disbanded.
And then there was this one time where like I think this one Argentine player had like kicked the ball into the Dutch bench.
Oh, I saw
deliberately.
That.
Yeah, and then he got like body slammed to the ground.
Oh, that just got
a brawl.
Like, see, that's what makes soccer interesting. Make it full contact, and let them fight. Put it on ice. Give them sticks. Have a little square like puck look or a little round puck looking.
Never mind. That's just hockey.
And give them a couple pads. Put boards around it, and 5-on-5 with a goalie and full contact. And all of a sudden.
Oh, wait, never mind. Then you got hockey at that point.
No.
Anyways, yeah, the match ended up going into a penalty shootout, and yeah, the Dutch missed their first 2 kicks. Actually, no, the first 2 kicks were saved by the Argentina keeper, and
oh my God,
yeah, that was enough. They moved through.
Then
you had Morocco versus Portugal, and once again, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo on the bench.
Let's go Morocco, my favorite team.
His substitute scored a hat trick in last game, but this time they lost.
Let's go Morocco, going all the way. That's my pick to win.
Here's the thing: Ronaldo actually did like pop on in like the 51st minute, so he was there for half the game, but he did basically nothing. He never really was threatening or never really got a serious chance. He was like totally squeezed out by the Moroccan defense. Out he goes. England versus France. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, once both Canada and Australia got knocked out, since those were my 2 teams that I would be diehard for, it's just England's kind of the one you roll with. But they're also notorious chokers. I think, I don't know if I've said it on air, but I think I've said a couple times that they're a lot like the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, you said that last time.
At this level, because they haven't won the World Cup since 1966, and they also tend to go out on or really any major tournament since 1966, and they get knocked out in the most agonizing of fashions. I mean, they were at the European Championship final last year, which was in London, and England lost it on a shootout, which is kind of typical of them. They gave up a goal to France, but they scored another one for penalty. But then France was leading 2-1, but then they got another penalty, and then they missed the second penalty, and that's what sealed their fate.
Hold that out.
That's But they lose, so there you got the final four: Argentina versus Croatia.
Let's go Morocco.
Argentina, yeah, it's fucking
Slapped.
Croatia. That one honestly wasn't close. Argentina was dominant.
Slapped.
And that's really all it was.
They might as well just be crying on the floor.
France versus Morocco, yeah. Even though Morocco dominated the match the entire time, they lost because
this is outrageous.
They pulled off of Canada in the first match against Belgium, which Canada dominated the possession. They had way more chances, but they could not. Fuck, their finish was just so awful.
I could do better.
And that's kind of what happened.
I'm kind of trash at that. Actually, I'm not that bad at soccer.
And then there's the final. Now we're there. I mean, technically, there was also a third place match. Croatia won that 2-1 over Morocco. But anyways, no one really cares about that. Anyways, World Cup final.
I care. Morocco lost. Anyways, World Cup final. Hell of a game.
Quite something.
Hell of a game.
Obviously, let's start on one side. First off, you have Argentina. You got captained by Lionel Messi, who at the time was arguably the greatest of all time, depending on who you ask.
No. We're gonna talk about this after.
I mean, like beforehand. He would be considered arguably like the best. And on the other end, on France, you got Kylian Mbappe, who is perhaps the best player in the world right now, and might actually become the greatest player of all time later on. And he's only 24 years old, and he's already won like
a
World Cup and scored like a number of goals. We'll get to this. We'll get to him again. But Argentina, Messi got a penalty in the 24th minute, scored it. Argentina got a second just 13 minutes later, so they were up 2-0, and that was kind of the story. It was kind of not really that interesting because Argentina was totally dominating. France didn't even have a shot on target until like the 70th minute. That's how bad they were.
I actually remember I was at work. I can start this story. I can finish it after we finish talking about it. I was at work and I'm like, oh yeah, the World Cup's on. So I'm checking my phone here or there. I'm like, okay, Argentina's winning. It was like the 53rd minute. Argentina's winning 2-0. I'm like, okay. I checked back. I put it down. Checked back a little bit later.
To be safe.
70 minutes. Okay, Argentina's still up 2-0. Game's over. They have 20 minutes. Nothing.
It should be. If it was normal,
soccer,
yeah.
20 minutes. I don't think about
it wasn't normal.
It wasn't normal, and then this is where it gets interesting.
So yeah, I think what happened in like the 80th minute, France get a penalty, Kylian Mbappe puts it away 2-1. There's still some time left, but if Argentina can just hold on, they win. But then Messi gives up the ball quickly, and then a series of passes sees Mbappe scores second in like 90 seconds.
Which in soccer's impressive.
We have a tied game 2-2.
90 seconds in soccer is like really impressive, actually.
Yeah. Because you gotta consider also like it's
huge,
way bigger. It's a lot different compared to like scoring 2 goals in 90 seconds. It's in like hockey.
Yeah, like it's
a lot different.
And then
that was it. 2-2. It went to extra time. It goes into extra time, and first half 15 minutes nothing. Although Argentina arguably they recovered and they looked better, but they didn't get any shots away. And then there's 108th minute when there was a series of passes, and Argentina was only barely onside, and Messi managed to score a goal, although there was some confusion because he's put a ball through the net, but then a France player who was behind the net, not the goalkeeper, had like kicked it away. It was counted. Some people thought it was offside, but it turns out he was literally in ass cheek onside. That's what it was.
Like
when you went for the video review, that's what it looked like.
It was so insane. Look up the.
That should have been over. It should have been over by then. 3-2. But then you had like an 118th minute handball ball deflected off of an Argentina player's shoulder or arm in the box, and penalty again for France is Mbappe. He nails it, scores his third,
which
it's all tied. His third goal, so he was literally doing everything. He's apparently the second player ever to score a hat trick in the World Cup final. And the whole game, this madness game is tied, and both teams had a great chance to actually finish it off before it went to penalties. Like France almost had another chance to score again, but it was like a brilliant save by the Argentine keeper Emiliano Martinez. But then Argentina immediately after got the ball on France's end and almost scored the goal, but terrible header, and that was like missed badly, and that's what sent it to penalties.
Like it was, and then
the World Cup final being decided on penalties.
it's like the Stanley Cup final being decided on a shootout. It does like
except if they did actually choose to do shootouts at that level,
don't.
which they don't. But I mean, I think they do like Olympic finals and World Championship finals. If it does go that far, I think they do shootouts, just not the Stanley Cup.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, Argentina, they score 4, including Messi bearing his first, but then France, I missed 2 of theirs, where one of them gets saved and the other one was like a bad miss.
Yeah.
That was enough. Argentina win their 3rd ever World Cup title and their first in 36 years.
All right, I'm gonna put this out here
Messi's
right
first.
now. Messi over Ronaldo after this game.
Oh, no
Enough said.
question. I have to go with this. Fernando only made the quarterfinals.
Like,
He was benched, and the first year we went was the round of 6. Was the semifinals in like 2006. It wasn't even the centerpiece back
enough
then.
said. Enough said. If anyone says otherwise, just look up Messi stats. Like, enough said. And also,
both basically won like about everything you can win in the sport, except
Messi won more.
Possibly the most important thing in the World Cup trophy. One guy has it, the other guy doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, so
and it didn't look like that, because I should point out that like Messi, even though despite the fact that like he's had all the brilliance club wise, he had like everything go wrong from internationally. Like he was in the World Cup final like 8 years ago with Argentina, but they lost that match. Then he was in 2 straight continental finals, like in South America, and then both times Argentina lost it on penalties.
Right.
Painful. And I think back then he actually retired. Like he quit from international football, but then came back out of retirement afterwards. And then there was like a horrible 2018 World Cup where like the team was just awful in every sense of the word, and they got knocked out, ironically, by France.
Right.
In round 16 that year. They did actually win a continental trophy last year, which was Messi's first ever international title, even though he was like 34 years old when that happened. And now the World Cup.
Wow.
So it's quite something.
He's better.
And I'll say it, like that match was probably like, to be honest, I don't think I've seen anything more bonkers or as great as that live. And I'm gonna be objective here because I've also seen the 2010 Winter Olympics hockey gold medal match, Canada versus the United States. The Sidney Crosby golden goal. And I'll have to be objective there. I think this passes that.
It's got to be up there.
It's got to. I'll be objective in my opinion. Is that like I'm not gonna be biased just because like Canada won, so no, this tops that, because I mean it's like the 6 are like way higher.
Yeah.
Way higher when we're talking about the Winter Olympics, which is only popular kind of like
because of hockey.
Well, I mean, there's actually a lot of other sports, but like the hockey one's only watched by like 6. There's only like 6 countries that are like good at hockey, really.
Oh yeah, it's the
6
same 6.
Not many.
Same 6.
When there's like way more here, and this is like probably the biggest sporting. No, I think it is a sporting event in the world, because it's like, even though there's only like 32 teams in it, I don't think there's. Maybe the Olympics, the Summer Olympics, but I don't think any other event really comes close to this, the World Cup.
So when I was at work, a normal came in. Where we call them normals, where I work at the rec center up by the mall. Not gonna say it here, but up by the mall.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and I do the gym there. So like I do gym rentals. So it was an open gym, and this guy who comes here regularly, the kid, came in, and his dad was with him, and his dad was streaming the World Cup on his phone, and I'm kind of peeking in, and I'm like, no, what's going on? I'm just watching it here and there. I'm kind of giving the dad update. I'm kind of screaming the updates to his dad, and he was British, but because England was out, he was cheering for France. Once France missed their one penalty, it was like, oh, it's over. There's no shot. It's over.
I think that's more because England were Britain.
It's
more political. It's more political reasons. There was a war between Britain and Argentina like 40 years ago over like a group of islands in the off the coast of Argentina that Britain.
It's closer to Argentina.
Argentina has like claimed belongs to them. There was like a war about 4 years ago, and
but it
never
was
really. And Argentina still claims the zones. That's what I think it's about. It's
uh,
more that, and also England, like a couple years after, in like 1986, literally got knocked out by Argentina
that might have been
on a handball goal.
oh, the
Hand
hand
of
of
God
God,
goal.
the hand
Diego
of
Maradona
God.
doing yeah.
Yeah, so I remember.
Yeah, I don't think England fans have ever forgiven
No,
Argentina for that, even though that was like a really long time
no.
ago. But
But I remember, and it was so interesting to watch. And he was kind of explaining, like I knew soccer, like I know it enough to
mhm,
watch a game and kind of understand what's going on. But he was explaining offsides to me,
mhm,
and I thought it was you had to be like a step in front of you can't. I didn't know that you can't have a
mhm.
body part behind the defender. I thought it was you just can't be like a step ahead of the defender.
Just it could be like any body part where you can actually like score with. I mean, like in that last thing that had like um that scored the fruit Argentina goal. Some people were saying, "Oh, well, actually, if you notice, the guy's hand was or his fingers were ahead of the
You
France
can't
defender."
score with
But
the
here's
hand
the
though,
thing: you can't score with your hand though.
unless you're the hand of God guy.
Yeah, can't because yeah, but that yeah, the referee would have to be blind. And nowadays, unlike in 1986, now you have all this video technology that would easily catch and can like
Oh,
correct a referee fuck up.
yeah.
So, yeah, like can't really get away with that nowadays.
So Nathan and your dad, if you're watching this, what a game.
Hmm.
Anything else you want to talk about? Messi over Ronaldo.
Oh, if
Enough
you're
said.
curious, you want to know more about what Ronaldo's up to now. He's currently a free agent. He doesn't have a club still.
Toronto FC.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. This. There's been reports. I haven't seen it for any firm confirmation, but there's no reports that he's about to sign for what the frick was this club called? Actually, I just want to see if it's ever been updated.
It doesn't matter because you don't know the name. If it's not relevant, you don't know the name.
This actually looks really bad because he signed. It looks like unless um it hasn't yet been like confirmed. There's like rumors going on, but he's reportedly going to sign for a club in Saudi Arabia.
Oh God. Well, they do have
Or-
all the new
It's
stadiums.
lucrative. It could pay him like $1 billion on that, and that would keep him under contract until 2030. At that
He'll
point,
be
you're
what,
doing
40 something?
you're doing it just for the money.
He'll be
but
what,
not to mention
46?
you're also like doing it to whitewash like a hideous regime that has like a horrendous human rights record
Oh
as
my
well.
God.
But also that is also Qatar as well. But Saudi Arabia is like worse. I mean, Qatar has some issues. They had like the stadiums built with the slavery system,
And murder.
lack of women's rights, lack of like it was illegal to be gay. There was like so much wrong with Qatar, but everything that was wrong with the Qatar one, Saudi Arabia has the same issues, if not worse.
Oh yeah.
But they're also bidding for like the 2030 World Cup, Saudi Arabia, and
No.
or actually, I'm sorry, it's a joint bid with It was actually who was even bidding for it? I need to look it up. It was a joint bid Saudi Arabia was doing with Egypt and Greece, which was weird.
Just
But
keep it in North America.
I don't know they can't do it in North America 2 years in a row. Like there's like it can't be hosted in a continent like twice in a row. That's why the bids
South
are
America.
it's South America. That's why there's an Argentina that's bidding with like 3 other South American countries.
Anywhere I don't know, Russia?
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
Australia?
No, they can't host it because technically Australia it's not an Asian country, but it's part of the Asian Football Confederation, and I think the way it works is that no confederation could host the World Cup for another like 12 years, and since Qatar's in Asia, that means they can't host it again until like 2034. Australia,
rules.
so that's why they're not winning that. So it's either going to be in like probably Europe, South America, or
Ireland.
actually wait,
Just go to Ireland.
it's not.
Everyone's
the only
just
European
hammered
bid I
before
know
the
of
game.
is the European bid I know of is like Spain, Portugal, and Ukraine. Apparently, that was a recent add-on to a bid with Spain and Portugal.
Like I could see it in Ukraine.
Never mind the fact that like I'll just point out geographically that like Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, is like really far away from Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the distance between Los Angeles and Toronto, really, but between Lisbon and Kiev. But I mean, hey, but then at the same on the other hand, there is this long distance between Canada and Mexico, and it's being coasted between Canada and Mexico and the United States in 2026.
Go with them.
But I mean, like Saudi Arabia, I mean, like that wouldn't be shock. I mean, it's what they do all the time, and to be honest, the whole concept's called like sports washing. That's kind of what's happening, like with Qatar, where like they usually like they get or they will host sports tournaments or whatnot to whitewash their hideous human rights records. Like Qatar, that was the World Cup this year. They've hosted like I think like the main track and field championship a couple years ago. Didn't they only just recently, like a few years ago, get an F1 race?
Qatar?
Yeah.
Or
was it
relatively.
like, or was it the UAE that got it? It was one of those ones.
Saudi.
I know it was like
Saudi Arabia.
Okay, that was controversy. Yeah, because Saudi Arabia got like they got an F1.
They
race,
got it was like last
had
year.
A lot of controversy. I think about
lot of controversy around it.
They also bought like a English Premier League club, Saudi Arabia, and also don't they have like a bunch of like WWE events too?
Oh, don't get me started about the WWE Saudi Arabia events.
They're Saudi Arabia is a really yikesy country. Like it's not just everything that's wrong. Like everything that's wrong with Qatar, Saudi Arabia has the same issues, but multiply it by 100. Literally, like also not to mention that they like execute like so many people publicly. I'll also add. Publicly execute, which is something I believe I can only think of like 2 or 3 countries that do that, and not to mention like like murdering journalists critical of them, like which is what they did. We've watched in both journalists that they've murdered at their embassy in Turkey, and like Saudi Arabia is just like it's just an awful host. It's an absolute monarchy. The leader just is like blowing hunches bone stars on some bizarre city, like futuristic city nonsense.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all part. I think I think the whole point of sports watching is more like, in the case of Saudi Arabia, it's not just to whitewash the record, but also more like diversify their economy, so it's not like entirely oil based. But I mean, to be fair, to both Saudi Arabia and Qatar, like they didn't invent this whole practice. It's happened for a very long time, because the most, like at least the World Cup, they've done it like twice, like 1978 in Argentina when it was like a military dictatorship. Same thing in 1934 in Italy. But the most notable example of sports watching I can think of was 1936. When the Summer Olympics were hosted in Berlin, Germany, and 1930s Germany.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
I don't think I need to explain why that would probably be, a bit controversial nowadays. I don't think I need to. You guys can look it up.
Yeah.
But I don't think I need to. I think it's kind of self-explanatory.
Just tweet out the question. What happened in 1930 to 1935 to 1944 Germany?
Yeah, just ask.
You got a lot of answers.
It's really yikesy.
Okay, I think we should end it here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening, watching.
Basically, like FIFA's like
FIFA's messed.
Not to mention that they hosted the World Cup in like Russia last year, which now
and not to mention
does not look good now. And it didn't. To be fair, it didn't look good at all when it happened. But it looks even worse in hindsight nowadays.
And not to mention, FIFA, the video game's not happening anymore.
Yeah, they cut ties with EA.
Huh.
So I think now the game's gonna be called EA Sports FC.
EA Soccer or something like that.
I believe. Mm-hmm. Not FIFA. They lost the licensing for that.
They're not gonna have all the players either, right?
Anyways, yeah. FIFA's corrupt organization.
World's going to hell. Thank you guys.
They don't give a shit about anything other than the ridiculous amount of money that hideous countries with like horrific human rights records throw at them. We love money. World's going to hell. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Comment what your opinions are on the MLB trade or MLB free agency and what's going on in soccer World Cup. If you
comment your if Ronaldo or Messi's better, do it. And Jonah
It's gonna be messy. I mean, Ronaldo is like not winning World Cup, and again, he's basically it looks like as
Enough said.
But he's going to Saudi Arabia club, and he's basically going to be their main ambassador to try to win them the World Cup in 2030.
So thank you guys so much.
Keep in mind, he's Portuguese, and Portugal's bidding for the World Cup, but he isn't boosting that. Instead, he's going to be boosting Saudi Arabia because they're going to be throwing like probably like close hundreds of millions of dollars at him.
Hello, I like money. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.